Hello everybody, this is Pizzscn here. I'm sure one of your biggest fears of being an iPod Touch or iPhone owner, or maybe this is not one of your biggest fears, but it is indeed a potential thing to happen. But I'm sure at least you probably thought once or twice, what would happen if all of a sudden I needed to restore my iPod for some unknown reason? That would be pretty tragic. You would probably lose some pretty important stuff if you had to do that for any reason whatsoever. Recently, about 2 days ago, it happened to my iPod Touch 4th generation. I had wanted to check something, so I went to pick it. I picked it up, I pushed the home button, and sure enough, absolutely nothing happened. It was completely unresponsive. Wouldn't do anything. And so I tried pushing and holding in the sleep-wake button up here at the top for about like 6 or 7 seconds to see if the battery was running low. Nothing happened, and it actually did have a pretty good charge already in it. So I had to resort to actually restoring my iPod. Now, luckily for me, the day before I had plugged it into the computer so that way I could update it to iOS 4.2. So I already had a pretty recent backup. All I lost was an app and a couple photos. But the app was free and the photos, well, they weren't necessarily that important. So I didn't really lose much of anything at all. So in this video I'm going to show you guys some possible techniques you might want to use to help prevent yourself from, well, not really prevent this from happening, but if this should happen to you, hopefully these techniques I'm about to show you will prevent you from losing too much important data, if any at all. So let's go ahead and get straight on into it. Of course, the best way, and pretty much the only way that I can think of to prevent yourself from losing valuable data should you ever need to restore your iPod Touch, iPhone, or iPad for any reason, of course, is to back it up regularly. And this is true for anything. Whether it be your iPhone, iPod, computer, iPad, it doesn't matter. All that data is very important to you, and you want to make sure that you keep it backed up on a regular basis so that way you have very recent backups in case something should happen. In the case of the iPod Touch or iPhone, really the best way to back up really anything and keep a current copy of it is to do off-site backups. But with iPhones and iPod Touches, that's pretty impractical. I mean, these things are pretty expensive, and buying a second iPod Touch or iPhone to swap between every so often would be a bit of an investment. But obviously, the best way to make sure you have a current backup of your stuff is, of course, to plug it into iTunes, maybe every day if you want to do that. But I would at least recommend every other day. So, the best way you can actually remind yourself to do this is, of course, to set up a reminder. And you can do this right on your iPod Touch, or iPhone, or iPad. Really, iDevice, it doesn't matter. So, let me show you how to do that. So, if you have ever been inside of your clock application, you probably know that there's an alarm clock in there. And this is what we're going to use to make our reminder. So just go ahead and tap the plus button up here, and what we're going to do is set up an alarm to go off at a specific time. I'm going to set mine to go off at 3:15, or not 3:15, 3:30 let's do for me. That should work perfectly fine. And what you're going to want to do, hit this repeat up here and set it to however much you want it to go off. In my case, what I think I will do every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Actually, I'm going to do every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and Sunday. So I should be able to get around to backing it up during the weekend every day. And that's going to be my schedule. It's going to go off every Tuesday, every Thursday, and every Saturday and Sunday. Alright, so let's go back on that. And now we're going to click on sound, and you want to make sure that it is set to none. Because well, unless if you want there to be an audible signal, it's probably best that you turn this off. Just because you never know, it may go off while you're in an important meeting or something, and that would be pretty bad. So I'm going to set it to be completely silent. You want to make sure snooze is turned on, because if you can't get to your computer right away, you want to make sure you can snooze it so that way it can remind you again in about 10 minutes. Now, this will be a bit cumbersome having to push the snooze button all the time, but it's probably, after clicking it so often, it'll probably stick in your head. But I do recommend leaving it on just in case you can't get to a computer right away. And let's go ahead and give it a label. We want to make sure we know what it's for. And this is also going to be a message that displays whenever this goes off. So I'm just going to put back up. I can go in and change this later. So that's going to be my message, backup. So every day, or every other day, or pretty much every day of the week that I have it set to go off, is just going to bring up a message that says backup. Okay? And that should be enough to let me know that, oh, I need to back this up today. And if I am not able to get to a computer by then, which in most cases, or at least during the week, I probably will not be able to, because I will probably still be waiting to be picked up at school, but I will then realize that, oh, I need to back this up. So, yeah, that's just going to be that. And I've already set the time down there, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit done, and that will go off every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday at 3:30 a.m., and that will let me know that, oh, I need to back this up today. So, that's that. Now, what if something actually does happen that requires you to actually restore your iPod Touch or iPhone for some weird reason? Well, there actually is a bit of a trick to doing it right, and it's not really too hard to do, but it took me a while to figure it out, although it's not that complicated, but I'll show you how to do it nonetheless. Now, the first and obvious step to doing this is plug your iPod into the computer. If your iPod is being completely unresponsive, it is not guaranteed that it will actually respond when it's plugged into the computer. So, yes. Now, if your computer does not actually respond to your iPod being plugged in, that pretty much means that you need to put it into DFU mode, and then you will have to restore it, because that is really your only option. And the way you put it into DFU mode, I'm not actually going to do it because I don't need to do it, but what you actually do is you take your iPod, you press and hold the home and sleep wake buttons simultaneously for 10 seconds. Then after 10 seconds, you release the power button, and you continue to hold in the home button until your computer responds. And then iTunes will come up saying that you have an iPod in recovery mode and that you'll need to restore it in order to use it with iTunes. So if your computer does not respond to your iPod being plugged in, that is what you're going to have to do. And then you will restore it that way. As you can see, just by plugging it into the computer, iTunes is already making a backup. But it doesn't do this every time you plug it into a computer. If you plug it in, I think it does this once a day when you plug it into your computer. So if you plug it in more than once every day, it will not always do this. But if you want to ensure that it's actually being backed up, then after it's done syncing, what you want to do is actually come over, right-click your iPod. You're going to want to click this backup button here. It's currently disabled because it actually is backing up and syncing. So, but if it does not say backing up at first, make sure you right-click here and hit backup. Now, if you do need to restore your iPod, you do want to make sure you do it right. Most people would generally think that you would click on the obvious restore button. Actually, you can do it this way, but it won't actually do it really right, I suppose. If it will restore your iPod, but it will not actually put everything back the way it was. It'll just put... It just doesn't work right. It seriously doesn't. What you want to actually do is right-click on the device in the Devices menu, and then you're going to want to hit Restore from Backup. And then up here, let's go through this list and find the most recent one. And then you're going to want to click on Restore. I actually am not going to do that because I don't need to restore it. but then you'll just follow through the process of actually restoring it. And it's just like actually setting up a brand new iPod, so it's not that hard to do. And then after that, you should have pretty much up-to-date iPod Touch or iPhone or iPad. It should be almost like nothing ever happened to it. So, of course, the more often you set up this alert to show up, then the better off you will be in terms of backing up your data. So, that. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helped, and I will see you later. Adios.